Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to episode 116 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast. Once again, we've just got an amazing show. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. We've been backwards and forwards with our special guest for a while. But first up, no Rossi tonight. He's just, I think, finally exploded with all the work that he's got on at the minute. But we do have Braggy down there in Adelaide. How are you, Braggy?
Excellent, Curly. What's happened to Rossi? He's the father of the year. We know that. So I guess it's just he's just too much. He's in the studio, isn't he?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, he's.
Is that with Pocket Watch, his son's band, or is it with?
Jupiter 5. Yeah, there's just I never keep up with what's happening.
I can't keep up with him either.
So, but Rossi, we miss you and hope to see you back next week. So, but let's introduce our very special guest, Braggy, Sammi Palinkas. Now, this lady, apart from having a wonderful voice and some really cool songs out at the moment, she's a Australian contemporary country artist and songwriter. Mm-hmm. And you started singing at the age of 3.
I did.
Tell us about that.
Well, I started dancing at a young age, and kind of with the sort of theatrical dancing world comes singing. And like at that age, I'd sing to anyone who would listen. My nan would put me up on the desk at the doctor's surgery, and I'd be singing Home Among the Gum Trees to all the patients as they came in and out, and that happened every single week. But I was on stage from a very young age, and that sort of just progressed over the years. When I was 8, I won a national singing competition to celebrate the kids' movie Anastasia. That song Once Upon a December. So I had to sing that, and it was hosted by Channel 7, 20th Century Fox, and Gold FM for Victoria, but that network the entire way around Australia. And I was announced as a Victorian winner, then went on to win the Australian comp, and won myself and my family a trip to Paris, which was really, really exciting, especially at the age of 8. Bring on Disneyland. Yeah. And then after that, I went on to do a lot of musical theatre stuff. So I did Annie with Anthony Warlaw at the Regent Theatre, which was really, really fun at that age, and a bunch of other musicals. And that's kind of how I got my start, I guess. It was a pretty rapid induction into the entertainment industry, that's for sure.
So when you're 8, are you thinking like that's the only thing you know? Are you thinking, well, this is what I'm going to be?
It's really interesting because at that age, I was really quite keen on doing musical theatre. Like that was where the passion was. I grew up in a broad range of music. My parents, actually, as my mum described it to me a couple of weeks ago, everything in those days was popular, whatever was in the charts. It wasn't like country or pop or, it was just a mixture of things. So I grew up from everything like Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Dusty Springfield to, Shirley Bassey and Judy Garland. So back in those days, I really, really loved all of those artists, but that was kind of where I was headed. But I think the Anastasia comp was a turning point for me because it was the point in my childhood where I decided I wanted to ditch the dancing and so forth, and I was lending it myself a lot more to the singing at that point, and that's kind of where I was starting to find my heart. So that was quite a pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, musical theatre. That's a great place to start. I played just in the pit for a few local things in my hometown of Townsville, so nothing like what you've done. But the thing I got from that is how the whole show comes together with the songs and the band and the acting and the costumes and the lighting. That must be great. That's a great grounding for going on, to do what you're doing now, to see all that other stuff happening.
Well, I grew up on a stage, so I understand how it works. Wow. I've played the part, I've played myself. Like it's a very grounding and well-rounded experience, I think, for someone coming up through there. Like I learned to entertain, and I don't know that they teach you that, it's something, especially now, it's less common. But back in those days, I wasn't taught to stand on a stage and sing with a microphone or a piano or a guitar. I was taught, you've got a crowd there. You've got the first basically 15 to 30 seconds to have the meeting out of your hand. Go on and do it. So it was a really interesting foundation, I guess, for what I've gone on to do later. And it's certainly been one that's, I think that's really well prepared me actually for what's happened throughout the rest of my career.
Yeah, nowadays there seems to be, so many musical courses. One of our previous guests, Josie, was talking about the course that she's doing, like it's a full-on university course. And I think we've just had Braggy drop out. So the Adelaide internet plays up every now and again. But she's doing this. Yeah, she's doing a university course, which is all about how you craft the songs and put out CDs and music and whatnot. So with your training, or was there any training for you, or was it just get up on stage and just do it and everything just evolved naturally?
Well, I think with the dancing came like that was where the discipline came from. And that's where a lot of my sort of early training came from, was out of the theatrical dance. And then came, the singing came as part and parcel with that, really. And then just over time, I guess that turned into piano lessons and, and my musical theory started to come along at that point. And I did study for a little bit. So that obviously helped. I think the biggest turning point for me in any instance was when I actually started to write songs, because when I started to write, I started to figure out who I am as an artist and as a person as well, as a young person. And I just think it's just quite amazing what developing that craft out, whether you learn it, by learning off others, or if you learn it formally, actually does to your development in this type of industry, with this type of career. So.
And do you write by yourself? I've seen a couple of your social media posts where you've got a Zoom team, let's call them that. Where
SWAT team. I do write by myself. A couple of the songs actually on my EP were written completely by myself. They're a bit old now, but I have written by myself for a very long time. I do find a real joy in co-writing. The picture I think you're referring to was Sally Barris, Templeton Thompson, Sam Gay, Rod McCormack, and I. I cleverly subbed Rod into that photo because he actually wasn't there that day. But they're my regular. I write with others as well, but they're my sort of regular crew. They're the people that have written the last 2 singles with me. I love them dearly. They're like my music family, and it's just a joy writing with them. I think, when I'm paired with them, we just click really, really well. They understand me. They understand who I am and where I want to go. And we just have a great time. And I think you can hear that in the music at the end of the day. And I think that's really important.
I think so too. And they're based in Nashville?
They are, yeah. So Sam, Templeton, and Sally are, and then Rod's on the Central Coast in New South Wales.
Wow, that is. And is that one of your aims, to get to Nashville, or have you been, or is there a link there now?
Yeah, I've been twice. I went twice last year. I also went when I was younger. I used to write songs in LA and New York for many, many years.
Yeah.
And got out of the game and then stopped singing for a while. And as I got back into it again, I sort of changed as an artist quite a lot, and as a songwriter as well. And like I said before, I've always been a big believer that, writing changes and shows you who you are as an artist. And I think you really got to listen to that. And it's exactly what I did. But I went twice last year, and I am hoping to go back before the end of this year.
Excellent.
So we've got a trip in the works at the moment. So I'm excited. I love it.
Yeah. Nashville is a place that I certainly want to get to. And it's interesting because at the moment we've got a lot of what I would call fresh, or I think you're described as contemporary country, whereas I think there's a bit of a new wave of female artists coming through, and we've spoken to a number, and we've actually got a really good friend in Nashville, Alison Asarch, who's been on the show a couple of times. And it's just, Nashville just seems to be a place that you want to be at. It's like Tamworth by 1,000.
It's a pretty special place. Like, there's music 24/7, like everywhere, and just the talent on display is amazing. And yeah, especially my first trip, I played in a writer's round. I played in a couple of writer's rounds actually for both trips. But on my first trip, I remember just, sitting there, and I was brand new to Nashville. It was like, it might as well have been my first trip. I did go years ago, but I hadn't been in a very long time, and everything old was new again, So I was sitting in this writer's round at Cabana Taps, and then I came off the stage and I was talking to someone afterwards, and they said, "Oh, do you know the person that was sitting to your rights had like, a couple of number ones?" And I was like, "Oh no, okay." it was just amazing to think, like you can be sitting there as somebody that's in the early stages of your career still, trying to get your runs on the board, and you're sitting playing around next to someone that's a number one writer. And that is incredible. Like, it's just, it's pretty special.
And the concept of writers' rounds is actually pretty cool in itself, just quietly. So so just correct me if I'm wrong. It's almost like this very informal, let's just all show up somewhere and we're just going to jam and put some words to music. Is that, have I interpreted that?
A little bit different, but it's basically what they do is they get a number of songwriters, could be anywhere between like 3 or 5, I think I saw in around, usually for about an hour or two, and they will sit you in a row and you all go through playing songs that you've written. So it's really different because you're not, I don't know, when you're on those stages, you're not an artist singing your song as such. You are a songwriter singing a song you've written, and it's a really different concept, and it's a very, I don't know, I find it's quite a relaxed environment. It's fun. If there's people in the round that they're sitting next to you that know the song, they might sing along or sing a harmony, or they'll play along with you if they figure out the chords. Like, it's really cool. So there is a jam element and a bit of an impromptu element to it, I guess. But then you turn up to places like the Listening Room, and you see people like Phil Barton play, who's a great Australian songwriter. And, and you can see the people he's played with before, and they just all jump in together and have a great time. And, I think, well, they've probably done it before, but at the time it's probably not rehearsed. And it's always a great show. It's really entertaining. And it's just great to hear songwriters singing their own material too,
So you've never had to resort to playing covers?
Years and years ago, I did the corporate thing for a little bit. But it's not where my heart is. It's not, I love writing songs. I really love writing songs. And that's where my passion is. I love singing too, don't get me wrong. But that's where I get my most joy. So if I'm standing on a stage and I'm singing something I've written to gauge an audience to see whether they like something or not, that's kind of my happy place.
Excellent. I sense your happiness coming right through the camera, which is amazing because you are a little bit unwell, as we know. COVID's affected you again. It's a shame Braggy's got some internet dramas. So he's actually had a long lunch. So I thought you and him would be just miserable in it, but obviously that's not happening with yourself. Hey, Sammi, I'm going to tap into your back catalog because
no worries.
So let's start from the one that sort of stands out a little bit because it's just nothing like what you're putting out now, and I'm referring of course to the song called White Disco.
Yes, that was a very long time ago. So I used to write in LA, New York for many years, and I actually wrote that song with Andrew Belucchi, who has had great success with Selena Gomez and The Weeknd, Post Malone. He actually did a lot of the vocal production on Billy Ray Cyrus and Lil Nas's redo of Old Town Road, and he was Grammy nominated for that. So Andrew's done some great things, and in those days I was working with a lot of guys like Andrew. So I came up through that sort of space in my early 20s, and that's where I was comfortable writing. It's what I wanted to do. Funnily enough, I had a chance to go country multiple times, and I actually just never went there. So, and I think when you're in your early 20s, you kind of look at it and you're like, maybe it's different nowadays because I think everything's changing. But back in those days, I was like, no, I want to be the pop star. I don't want to be the country star. You know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different ballgame. And at the time, I wrote Teenage Girl real well. Like, that's what I was doing, and that lends itself really to pop. And I, like I said earlier, over time, I've really learned that you listen to the style that you're writing. I really believe that. And as I got older and I had a lot more life experience under my belt, the style that came out in my writing was a lot more storytelling. And then, I mean, I fell in love with country when I was, in my teenage years anyway. And I've always loved it. So there's always been a place for it in my heart. I've just always shied away from it. So this time when it kind of went there and started to go there, I just really listened. And I rang my friend Fiona Kernaghan after my first trip to Nashville, and I said, Fiona, been told I should go country. I went to Nashville. I can hear what I've been told, this is starting to sound like, and how my writing style is starting to progress. What do I do? She goes, you got to meet Rod McCormack. So I was like, okay, cool. So anyway, I was introduced to Rod, and we started chatting. About a year ago now, and then started working together pretty consistently from I think September, October last year. He helped me set up my second Nashville trip and introduced me to all the wonderful people we were talking about before, and we started writing regularly, and then sat down in January and went, this is starting to sound like we could do an album, and that's what we decided to do. So yeah, excellent.
When I listen to White Disco, and you're going to laugh at this, I sort of half expect Snoop Doggy Dogg to come out with some of his, it's just that mode of music, and especially when I was first introduced to your music with Meet in the Middle, and then all of a sudden you hear White Disco, and you're going, okay, something's not quite gelling here. So.
A long time ago now, so
Snoop Dogg would have made a great presence on that, so it would have been good. So let's
when it came out, Molly Meldrum actually DJ'd it with Katy Perry Firework at the track, so it was it was a mix of all of that, of all of those great things that I just think as a writer, I just grew up, and if you go back to some of my really early demos in like my late teens and my early 20s, where I was working out of a studio and they were sourcing songs for me, it was pop, but it did have that little country feel to it. I just didn't go there. So I could have saved myself 10 years if I just everyone's like, go here, and I'm like, no, I'm going over here. So,
and not that there's anything wrong with White Disco. If anyone's I'm not saying there's anything wrong. It's just a contrasting song to what we're hearing now. So
absolutely.
So then let's talk about Meet in the Middle.
Yes.
So where did that song come from, and who did you write it with?
Yeah, so I wrote that one with Sally Barris, who's one of the writers I write with out of Nashville, and Rod McCormack. And really, when Rod and I have been concentrating on the material for the album that we're creating, we wanted to make it really me. And I've always been the classic opposites attract story. And we wanted to be very clever about how we told that story. And I'm a big fan of people like Shania Twain and conversational lyrics, massive fan.
Yep.
And meet me in the middle is just such a common phrase when you're trying to talk to someone, negotiate and so forth.
Compromise,
yeah. And we just thought, what a great way to sort of encapsulate that you've got two people completely the opposite to each other, but somehow they just come together and make it work. And so that formed the centerpiece of that story. So we wanted to do something. I mean, every time we walk into a write and I say I want to write something like "Man, like I feel like a woman," Rod tells me I can't have a whole album full of "Man, I feel like a woman." But that was quite, certainly from my perspective, was quite an inspiration for that piece. I just really love how that song kind of makes you want to kick down a door. So I wanted to sort of have that uplifting, upbeat feel around that song and make it something that was, something that was really positive.
At his best when he's headed west, cruising down the back road, showing up the like sand between my toes, rolling with the flow. A sunset on the water makes me feel high like a third pina colada. A kiss under the stars at night. We go together like a fiddle and bow. Just how it works, nobody knows. One without the other, we can't play our favorite song. You're straight as an arrow and I walk a wire. We're gasoline and matches playing with fire. We give and take a little and we meet in the middle. And the Bonnie to your Clyde, partners in crime. To steal away your heart, I'll drive the getaway car and hide on every red light. It's wrong, but that's how right we are. So you can wear your boots, I'll keep wearing Gucci, designer dress and blue jeans. Somehow we're a match, there's no way to stop it. When two opposites attract, we go together.
Yeah, it is, and it's an upbeat song. It's and it's genuinely like I understand it's part of the country genre, but and I'm not a country sort of a guy. In fact, one of my best mates, we have him on every now and again. We call him the country music correspondent because he is country music mad.
That's awesome.
But he loved the song, and it just seems interesting that I'm enjoying a lot of this what I would call fresh female country music starting to storm through. So,
Yeah.
what was the recording like of Meet Me in the Middle? Talk me through how it was recorded because it's quite a layered song vocally as well.
Yeah, so that was actually quite a cool record. So I went up to, I usually go because I'm in Melbourne, so I fly up to the Central Coast and usually go for 3 or 4 days at a time. And so that was a classic version of one of those trips, I guess you could say. And so Rod started laying the tracks. So we had a work tape. We always do a work tape at the end of every write. Usually Rod's the one that ends up putting the work tape down because he's the one with the guitar on Zoom at the time. So he's usually the one that puts the work tape down. Then we start to translate that basically into a beat and a rhythm. And I remember when Rod played that first riff at the beginning, I was like, oh, wow, this is catchy. This is actually going to just get stuck in my head for weeks. Yeah. And I started to get excited at that point. And so, we went through the layering process and put down all the beats and so forth. Rod started laying guitars and other bits and pieces on it. Then I went and did a guide vocal, came back, did a bit more work on the track. And by did a bit more work, I mean Rod did the work on the track and I sat there eating, watching him and singing along. And the song was quite new. I think it was only about a week old when we recorded it, if that. I think it was like 2 days old. So when I went in the booth, we were still working out, have we got the melody sitting in the right spot? Is the phrasing correct as we do? And then we just put down a vocal. And by the end of it, we're all pretty happy about it. So we wanted to do the Mutt Lang Shania Twain thing with the backing vocals. So Rod did the backing vocal on it because she's got the female-male contrast in some of her tracks. So he did that. And I think by the end of it, we were like, we've written something that's kind of cool. Like this is something that I think people are going to lyrically really relate to, and that will hopefully use a bit of an earworm, So yeah. And
it's been quite successful for you.
Yeah. Look, I couldn't have dreamed the first country single would go as well as it has. It's popped up in all sorts of little charts all over the place. It debuted on iTunes on the Australian chart at number 3 in the country chart and number 8 in the all genre chart, which was really, really exciting. I didn't expect to see it there, that's for sure. And it's just done really, really well. It popped into the CountryTown Hot 50 for a bit there, which was really lovely. So that was exciting. And I was just so, I was so grateful that everybody just embraced the song and embraced me. And, I've definitely found the long way around to get to country, as in the genre. And I really do believe my heart is really firmly here. And I was a bit nervous going, well, I've come from this pop background, like how are people, going to perceive that? Like, I think if you go through and you listen to everything, you can hear how it's going there. It just didn't quite get there, but it was going. And I was just so grateful that people got around it and embraced it and were really supportive. So yeah, I'm overjoyed.
Yeah, and once again, I can hear that in your voice, Sammi. So the other thing that in relation to that song, you've done an acoustic version on YouTube, and I mean, we've all got personal preferences. I'm a Sunday session sort of a guy. Sit me down with a cold beer and listen to anyone playing a guitar, and that's one of my best ways to spend a Sunday. And I love that version done acoustically. So it really does. And I think your vocals stand out really strongly in the acoustic version. So
thank you.
So that was. Now the other song you've just put out, "You've Lived." So I'm getting a real sense of what your songwriting's all about. So meet in the middle. "You've Lived" is another like anthem sort of a song, if I can put it that way, that is designed to help people see things maybe from an inner strength perspective.
Yeah, that's I like the way you put that, actually. Yeah, it's like I said, I've had a lot of life experience over a shorter period of time, and we really wanted to, when we sat down to write this album and we started writing, we always conversation like, what do you want to write about and stuff like that. I didn't want to write just like another love song or this or that. I wanted to write about topics that people all go through and that are relatable, but we don't really talk about. And I think "You've Lived" a classic example of that. Rod and I were having a conversation one day about the trials and tribulations of life. Yeah. And he said something, and he was telling me a story, and for the life of me, I can't remember what the story was about. But my response was, "Oh, that's okay. That just means you've lived." And we were kind of like look at each other as songwriters do and go, "Ha, song title." So the next morning, I actually wasn't meant to be writing. It was like 5:30 in the morning, and when we write with Nashville, because of the time difference, we always write at 6 a.m. And so I'm usually up at early anyway, And Rod messaged me about 5:30, and he said, the artist that we'll bring in today to write with, Tempe and Sam, Templeton Thompson, Sam Gay, has called in sick, can't make it today. Do you want to write? And so this was at like 5:30. I was playing golf with my parents an hour from my house at like, 8 a.m. And so I was never actually meant to write in that session. Hello, welcome back.
What a struggle that was. Oh my God.
You made it to the part of the story where all my worlds start to collide. So
it's all right. Keep going. Sorry.
So anyway, it was like I jumped on this ride at 6 a.m. and so we started writing this song that, the song title and the idea that Rod and I had come up with, a couple of days before, and we're riding away, and at 8 o'clock I had to leave. So anyway, 8 o'clock I've jumped in the car. I'm still on Zoom doing the hour trip to golf. Anyway, so got to golf, and we were like, I don't know, I think we were probably nearly finished the second. Well, we nearly finished the song. We were kind of tweaking the half of the second half of the second verse. And I finished it in the golf cart, like on the second, I think I was on the second green by the time we finished the write, and I'm still writing in the Google chat and being met with, emojis and, and quotes and all sorts of things. But what we wanted to write the song about is kind of normalizing the fact that everybody's got history and scars, and they come with baggage. Everybody comes with baggage, especially as you get older. That baggage could range from everything from a marriage to an engagement to a relationship that didn't work out, or something in someone's life, family stuff. There's just so many things. And I think, we go into situations with people when we're not proud of something that's happened to us or a mistake we've made or something like that, where we kind of sit there and we're like very hesitant to tell the story. You're kind of trying to justify yourself all the time. And it was kind of like, well, what if we could just normalize that coming with experience that you may not be proud of could just mean that you've just had some life experience and you've just lived. So we really wanted to try and make that the centerpiece of that song, that it's kind of okay to have a history. It's okay to have life experience. It's okay to have scars and things that you're not proud of. But at the end of the day, you kind of end up where you end up. And, I've looked at so many situations in my own life where the windy path ends up somewhere unexpected, and you might not see at the time, but a year down the track, you look back and you're like, I landed exactly where I should be. And so that was kind of the sentiment of that song and what we were thinking about when we wrote You've Lived.
So you've got a ghost, you know where I've got 'em. You don't have to go all the way to rock bottom. No need to jump at your shadows, just let 'em be. Every puzzle's got pieces that meet on the edges. Some days the big picture is anyone's guess. When you put it together, that's what sets you free. So what if you've taken the wrong road a couple of times and you made it right after crossing the line? You got turned around but you wound up where you did. So what if you've got a few scars 'cause you've loved and you've lost? No, you can't do the miles without paying the cost. If you're being hurt and learn how to forgive, that just means you've lived. So you've stood in the light, stumbled blind in the darkness, knew your head was right, you still followed your heart, kept laughing right through the tears till you came round. The highs and the lows grow into a story when the weight of it shows. You're chasing the glory.
It's an ill wind that blows no good.
Yeah,
There's always something
That's
good
right.
in everything. Now that I've just come back in like I haven't missed anything.
no.
Oh no, you've missed a lot. We've talked about.
Round.
We've,
I
we-
want to know about the riding songs in the golf cart. I love golf.
It's so memorable. It's I definitely can't say I've done a lot of things in my time. That's not one of them. So it was a brand new experience, and I never thought I'd see the day where my songwriting, my singing life, and the golfing world collided. But then here we were. So
yeah, excellent. But we have talked about White Disco Braggy, so
Okay.
that one's already been and done.
Should I do Who Am I then?
Go for it.
try.
Sorry.
I'm terrible at these
Sorry.
things. I'll be naughty.
I'm on my phone now, and it's like this screen is half the phone size. So you guys, anyway, I don't know it's Adelaide. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I was born on March 18th, 1934.
Ooh.
In Sledge, Mississippi, the fourth of 11 children of poor sharecroppers. 8 boys and 3 girls were in the family. When I was 14, my mother bought me my first guitar and I taught myself to play. Though I loved music, one of my lifelong dreams was to become a professional baseball player. In 1952, I pitched for the Memphis Red Sox in the local leagues. Then in 53, I signed a contract with the Boise Yankees, the Class C team of the New York Yankees. During that season, an injury caused me to lose the mustard on my fastball, and I was sent to the Yankees D-Class team. I was drafted. You should know this.
I should know this.
I was drafted into the United States Army in 1956, and then being discharged two years later. I tried to return to baseball, but was hindered by my injury to my throwing arm. I moved to Helena in Montana and was offered a job in a lead smelter by the coach of the local baseball team, who also wanted me to play for his team. It was here that my singing ability came to the attention of the team manager, who also paid me to sing for 15 minutes before each game, which increased attendance and earned me another $10 on top of the $10 I earned for each game. I also played gigs in the local area, both solo and with
I
a
know
band
the
called
story.
Nighthawks. Do you know this story?
I know the story, and I can't think of who it is, and I know the story.
Okay, you can't say yet, even if you know. You'll get it on the next one, though. The next part.
I'm so glad you know the story, Sammy. I've got no idea.
I know this story. Someone has told me this story. I've read this story. This is really bother me now.
I don't know if Curly's asked the same, but you play guitar as well. I know she's got a guitar in the background there.
Yeah, I do. I actually only started learning 12 months ago. I can play keyboard, and I grew up playing piano and then went on to write with keys. And about 12 months ago, I thought, well, I just never went to guitar. I don't know why. It was just always keys. But I picked it up about 12 months ago, and I'm really loving it. And I've picked it up quite quickly, I think, mainly because of the music theory and so forth that I've studied over the years. And I think certainly, with chord structures and stuff like that, piano is incredibly helpful. So, so it's been a journey, but I'm loving it.
That's good. Yeah, piano is obviously a better way to write songs because you've got your bass and your thing as well, if you can play that. You think? Or do you think guitar inspires you? Maybe because guitar's new to you.
Maybe, because it's funny because I've never liked how I play keys. Like I just don't like playing keys. I never got the joy out of it, but I've always I've done it because that's been, the basis for fun. And I've just never really enjoyed it though. But guitar, I don't know. I just really love guitar. Like I think I write a lot more dynamic songs. I'm a lot more creative with the guitar. I think with piano, me, I love the sound of a ballad on a piano. So I'm kind of always inclined to go, with a ballad. I have written upbeat stuff with piano as well. But I think it's just that inclination to always want to go slow. Whereas with a guitar, I sort of get a bit more versatility out of it. I don't know. My brain thinks
plus the guitars is portable too. So I mean, you can take it to the beach or into the country.
That's right.
And get inspiration there. So
that's right.
I guess.
And I know I live quite close to a beach, so that's a beautiful thing to do. But also, I was really lucky. My nan bought us a baby grand when I was a kid. And so a baby grand is just not that portable. So
no.
You're not going to carry a baby grand down the beach or to a gig.
No, you're not playing that at the barbecue.
No. No, you're not. Not around the campfire either. It's a bit difficult. So.
And Curly, what have we talked about? Have we talked about meet me in the middle?
Yeah, we have. But what was your take on it?
I just wanted to know from Sammy if she actually was a Gucci girl. You don't strike.
I don't know if you saw the music video, but the belt was real.
I saw the belt. Yeah,
one of my best friends collects handbags. She's really, really into it. I've always been the type of person that I'll buy something well and then just wear it to death. I won't change it 500 times. I'll just have a few select things that I really, really like. And as long as I wear them to death, I'm happy with. I don't have the handbag collection she does, but I am a bit impartial to some of the brands, but I don't know. I'm not really particularly out there with it. I just like to have those things for me. Like, quite often I'll go out and I'll actually turn my bags around and stuff. So, it's not it's not something I try and sort of talk about a lot. But
it's a great line in the song. And the only reason one of the reasons I picked up on it is because my wife actually collects handbags as well.
Well, there you go. We got
so I'm right up with the fashion.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's a good brand, and I think what we're trying to say in there is, again, it was that classic opposites attract story, right?
Yeah.
And I was saying earlier to Curly, I have been that girl. All my life, my friends have always said to me, you date people that are completely the opposite. I've dated, just such a broad range of people, and I think that is very me. It's not the people that are kind of share necessarily the same things as I have in common that I find myself attracted to. It's usually the people who are completely opposite. And I think that point of sort of saying, well, you can wear your boots and jeans and I'll keep wearing my designer dresses and the Gucci, and the Gucci stuff. I think that was a really nice little sort of way to illustrate that contrast between two completely different people. And it was good for me. So
yeah, it's interesting take country-wise as well, because usually it's the other way.
I know.
So
That's cool about it.
Yeah,
Well, and the other thing about it too is that, and when Duncan Toombs, who did my clip, when we sat down to talk about the video, this was kind of like, he's like, oh, what do you want to do? I'm like, look, I like Shania Twain and I want it to be fashion forward, because in the late 90s and the early 2000s, when Shania was really, really big, and when that Come On Over album came out, I think was a really pivotal turning point. There were two things. Like she got a fashion photographer to shoot her covers because she wanted something that was edgy and something was different. And I kind of said to Duncan and to Rod as well, I wonder if there's a place for somebody like there was back then that was a little bit more fashion forward and, and that kind of embraced that side of things a little bit more, because I do love fashion. I'm not the fashionista. That's my sister. My sister studied fashion PR. She can wear a paper bag. I can't. But she kind of got me more and more interested into it, I guess. And I just thought maybe there's a place for somebody like me who's got that interest, but also loves country music and storytelling. Yeah. And is there a halfway point? And so I made a conscious effort in that video to try and make it a little bit more fashion forward. And so the things that I wear in that clip are all kind of, that I wouldn't say they're your Gucci designer wears, but they're your mid-range type designer clothes and things like that I just thought were cool and hopefully kind of inspire people to get a little bit dressed up and enjoy it. I don't know.
I did pick up on the Shania thing as soon as I saw that, because that was actually the first thing I watched of yours. I clicked on that because I saw there's a video, So I picked up that. And it's funny, Shania was the Who Am I last week, Curly.
Oh, well, I would have got.
You would have smashed that in the first line. But we talked about how well, how we couldn't believe that people bagged her because they said, she wasn't country. Mainly the real old country people, but you couldn't get any more country life than she had, and it's just clever. It's just brilliant marketing. Those film clips were they're some of the best ever.
I know, and she the thing I loved about it too is it didn't come across forced or authentic or anything like that. You could just tell she was just being her, doing something she loved doing, and being proud about it. And so I've kind of made it my mission with the things that I do to try and go, well, you know what, as long as I'm comfortable with it and I'm enjoying myself, hopefully then other people will feel like I'm feeling about it. You're always going to get people that don't like things or what have you. But, I kind of just hope that people see the joy in me and how much fun I'm having or how comfortable I am in my own skin. And hopefully they'll, kind of feel the same about it, I guess. So that is something I loved about her, though, when she was coming up.
Yeah. You've always got a smile in your videos, Sammi. So I think people see the joy, they feel the happiness. So that's for sure. So Braggy, do part 2.
Okay.
Oh, I feel under pressure now. You realize that? I know this story. I should know this.
Okay, you ready? Between. Whoa.
What?
I'm on the tripod thingy here, and so I'm off the. Oh, now I'm going inside. God, struggle tonight, Kelly.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're holding it all together, Braggy.
Okay, between my smelter job and my music, I made a good living in the Helena area. I honed my craft, and in 1958, I visited Sun Studios in Memphis and recorded some songs. My big break came when Chet Atkins at RCA Records heard a demo tape and got me a contract. In 1966, I released my first RCA single, The Snakes Crawl at Night. Atkins was the long-time producer of RCA who had made stars out of country singers like Jim Reeves and Skeeter Davis and others. The Snakes Crawl at Night did not chart. I released another single called Before I Met You, which also did not chart. Not long afterwards, my third single, Just Between You and Me, was released. This song finally brought me success on the country charts. The song reached number 9 on February 25th, 1967.
It's not
I'll just keep going. You'll get it, I swear.
Pride?
Who?
No. Charlie? No.
Yes.
Charlie Pride. Is it Pride?
Yes. Charlie Pride.
Oh, my gosh.
Well done, girl.
Well done.
At the end of there, I'm like, hang on a minute. I know this.
I'll just finish it, Curly.
Yep.
So I was like, hang on a minute.
I'll just finish it because it's such a cool story.
Yeah,
What's coming up now. Okay. The success of Just Between Me and You was enormous. I was nominated for a Grammy Award for the song the next year. In the late summer of 1966, on the strength of my earlier releases, I was booked for my first large show in Detroit's Olympia Stadium. Since no biographical information had been included with those singles, few of the 10,000 country fans who came to the show knew I was black and discovered the fact only when I walked onto stage, at which point the applause trickled off to silence. I knew I'd have to get over it, get it over with sooner or later. So I told the audience, friends, I realise it's a little unique, me coming out here with a permanent suntan to sing country and western to you, but that's the way it is. I'll just finish the last section now. Might as well finish it up. That show became the first of a long and active career playing to large audiences. My race soon became a minor detail compared to my success. In 1967, I became the first black performer to appear at the Grand Ole Opry since founding member DeFord Bailey, who had last appeared in 1941. Between 69 and 71, I had 8 singles that reached #1 on the US Country Hit Parade.
Unbelievable.
They used to ask me how it feels to be the first coloured country singer. Then it was the first Negro country singer. Then it was the first black country singer. Now I'm the first African-American country singer. That's about the only thing that's changed. Best known for my hits is Anybody Going to San Antonio, Kiss an Angel Good Morning, and Crystal Chandelier. But more importantly, as a black pioneer in the country music genre.
Yeah.
That's
a great story.
I love Charlie Pride.
Yeah.
It's a great career too. Like it's a really, really great career.
My dad
was come through baseball and actually it ended up into country music as well.
So you knew the baseball story, yeah?
Yeah. That was earlier. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't even know that. That's cool.
Yeah, and there's actually a few people that have come through that sort of, and even now, there's a couple of people I know that are sort of budding producers and songwriters that have come and had quite an extensive baseball career in the States and then come through to songwriting production. So,
wow.
My dad was a massive Charlie Pride fan, and
right.
I certainly didn't know the story. So, Kiss an Angel Good Morning.
Oh, I love it.
Great song.
He was very big in Australia. Like my parents, everyone kind of knew him. So he cut through more than some of the other, more than Merle Haggard or some of the other American country artists in Australia for some reason.
Yeah, that's it. And those early country artists too. It's like my because I sort of my main sort of when I fell in love with country was getting a bit older. It was only what my parents played when I was little and forth that was my first introduction. So he was one of the first people that I sort of came to know in that in that time. So it's
really good to have that you've grown up with that. It's really good to have that history.
Yeah,
know the history behind things. I think it helps.
Oh, I love those stories.
Songwriting.
I mean, so many people that write songs have great stories, and I do believe that sometimes that's what makes it a good songwriter. If you come from having a good story and you have good experience, and then you can translate that into something that's relatable to us, then I think that really, really helps. So, and there are some amazing songwriting stories out there. I mean, even Dolly Parton, wrote Jolene. And I will always love you in the same day. Like, who does that? Like, what I mean? There's just some great stories out there about, people's writing experience and life experience. And I just love getting to know, songwriters like that. I think we spend less time. I think we get to know artists a bit more, but songwriters, I think we spend less time on. But I love getting to know the songwriters. So, yeah.
Yeah, writing from life experience. Yeah. So when you write, Sammy, do you write? Is there I've asked this of a few of the guests we've have on. I know inspiration for me, it's usually in the morning for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm pretty creative in the morning.
Yeah, or sometimes it's people having a shower, or sometimes it's people when they're walking. I'm actually reading a great book at the moment. It says usually inspiration comes when your mind is clear of everything. You're just doing a menial task like walking or
So I walk down the beach a lot. Like I think during 2020 when Melbourne was in lockdown, I got known in my local area for being like the girl who walks. I would walk into a shop and someone would be like, "Hey, I see you walking all the time." I'm like, I don't know if that's a reputation I want, but anyway, my friends would get asked, strangers would ask my friends, like, Sam's always got her head buried in her phone when she's walking, like, what's she doing? And my friends would be like, she's writing. Because I would walk down the beach and I would walk 9 kilometers or sometimes 18 kilometers or 6 kilometers. And I would just collect song ideas, and I just find it very freeing down there. But I find inspiration in all sorts of places. Like, we could be having a conversation and one of you guys could say something and I could just, my brain now just goes, oh, that could make a really interesting concept or some lyric or
Yeah.
so my phone, like most songwriters' phones, is just full of things that people have said, things that I've said, things I've seen, things I felt. And sometimes just, even a songwriting prompts, if something great can come out of that, you sit down. I mean, the best bit about songwriting is we could sit here and we could put one word on the table and the three of us would write about that word completely differently.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing about it.
The songs are out there, aren't they? The songs are out there.
Yeah.
You just got to tune into them.
True.
So you voice memos on your phone or notes or both?
Oh, absolutely. So many. I think like the last time I went to Nashville, I remember being on the plane. I had a melodic idea in like the middle of the night on the plane, and I went to the bathroom because the white noise in the background. So you try and record that on your phone and you don't get any of you just hear the noise. So anyway, I went to the bathroom and I was singing it into my phone just so I had it.
You got to do it.
So like anywhere, anytime, just capture it.
Yeah. I mean, there's some famous songwriters are renowned for, they'll be, and their family knows it, they'll be at dinner somewhere and then all of a sudden they go, sorry, I've got to go. It's come to me now. I've got to do it. I've got to get that idea down. You collect the seeds.
Yeah. So many times.
The seeds. Yeah.
I've just got up at my piano at like 2:00 in the morning and, and my keyboard, and played something into my keyboard, then gone back to sleep and woken up next morning. And sometimes it's cool. And sometimes you're like, what?
Shit,
Like, what was that? Yeah.
Okay.
I know. That's so true. Yeah. Wow, this is awesome. I can't wait for this. And the next day you go, what? That is just rubbish.
It really happens. I think everyone has those days, especially if you're writing regularly enough.
Yeah.
You definitely have days where you're like, what on earth was I thinking? Like, even some of the early stuff, I look back now and I mean, I started writing quite young, but I used to write poems. I didn't write songs. I was sitting in the studio. I was working out of a studio when I was quite young. I think I was in my late teens, and they were sourcing songs for me to sing. So I wasn't writing myself. And my entertainment lawyer actually saw me writing poems in the corner of the studio and said, you know what, you should be writing songs. And he'd won arias and things himself, and he really encouraged me to write and sort of helped me get started and introduced me to some co-writers, and that's kind of how I got myself going in the first place. But just something just so special about it, and it's like a big warm hug, It's just such a great thing to be able to do. Yeah, I feel so grateful.
And your songs generally seem to be a very uplifting sort of version. I mean, personally, I love Me, Myself, and I think that's a great song and very, very uplifting.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote that down the beach one day, actually. I wrote that with the producer who did my EP, Phil Tercio, and Phil sent me a bit of a melodic idea one morning that he'd been working on, and I was walking down the beach, and I think I'd written the song by the time I walked the 6K up and back. I said to him, sent him a message, I'm like, what about this idea? And I'd like come out of, I think I just wasn't long out of a breakup, and my best mate at the time, I was feeling very sorry for myself, as as everybody does when they come out of a breakup, and you go through all your range of emotions, and that was quite a long relationship. And my best mate kept saying to me, every morning you just got to get up and know the sun's going to come out. You're going to get up and you're going to keep moving forward. And so when we wrote that song, that was the kind of lyrical content for me was, just keep going. It's just keep going. Tomorrow's a new day. You're going to be fine. It might seem like the world's caving in right now, but just keep looking forward. So that was kind of the sentiment behind Me, Myself, and I. So it was quite uplifting because by the time I wrote it, it was kind of like my song that was kind of the song that put me back in that happy place. You know what I mean? When I listen to it, listen to it lyrically,
the therapy.
I want to be. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, it was there. I'm strong enough and I'm independent enough to be able to do this. Like, stop wallowing and keep moving forward. So yeah.
There's a little girl crying out for help. She's always used to leaning on herself. When she's hurt and scared, she runs and hides. As an adult, it's the tears she cries. Fell over, skinned my knees a million times. When life got in my way, I stood up to face the day. And even in the hardest times, I could hear you say, get out of bed, the sun is rising. Open your eyes, don't waste a moment. Now to spread my wings, learn how to fly. Just me, myself, and I found a way to carry on. Need no one else to stand up tall. Then I found the strength to get me by. Just me, myself, and I. Whoa. There's a woman, she's standing on her own. You'd never know she fears being all alone. Yet she lights her way, protects herself. She guards her heart with all she's got. At some point I learned I had to open up. When life got in my way, I stood up to face the day. And even in the hardest times.
Excellent. Sammi, I'm really stoked that you've joined us tonight, even though we've had some technical issues with young Braggy there. So
We made it in the end. We got there. We got the who am I, so it's all good.
yeah,
that's
it's all
it.
good. So we will have all of your links in the show notes so people can check out your music, check out your
you.
TikTok. I love your TikTok.
Oh, really?
And-
I'm not
and
sure
it-
about my TikTok. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm giving it a crack.
Well, if it wasn't for TikTok, we wouldn't have connected. So, you
True,
know,
that is very true, actually. Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Place for everything, right?
absolutely. So, Sammi, we are in the middle of a huge month of artists for the next 4 weeks. I think we've got so
Woohoo.
many more undiscovered and talented people.
Well, that's
And
amazing.
then in late September, early October, we're going to have a little bit of a break because I'm going to be running Berlin and Chicago marathons. And then
Oh, that's
hopefully,
amazing, really.
Crazy.
I'll be, crazy, amazing. I'll
No,
take Sammy's
amazing.
version.
Life
Amazing.
experience. Life experience. That's
and-
awesome.
And then we will be back. So, but until then, we've got some great artists coming through. Really excited to be talking with people like Chloe Styler,
Oh, yeah. that's
Nathan
awesome.
May, David Kirkpatrick. They are going to be awesome to speak to.
That
So,
is incredible.
and of course, if you've enjoyed the show, of course, I've said we'll have Sammy's links in the show notes. Go follow her, go follow her music, stream
There's lots of-
1,000 times Meet in the Middle so that she can afford a cup of coffee from it, from
That'd be
Spotify.
I'll take all the coffee I can get. There's one more music coming. Rod and I are 10 tracks through my album, and there's a lot more to come. So yeah, I'm just really grateful to be here talking to you guys about it, and I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
It's
And-
been
I had one more question. So, because we always ask this one, Curly. Sorry. Are you going to release them one at a time?
No, I think I'm going to release a few singles. So I actually have quite a thorough plan. When I got out of music for a while, I got into project management, and I'm pretty sure it's the first time my team had ever seen a release plan that looks like a 700-line project schedule.
Awesome.
So,
Right.
very organized. So I've got multiple singles that are going to be coming out, but they will all form part of an album. I won't
Right.
release all of them. There will be some album tracks in there as well, but what I've been concentrating on is just trying to write the best material we can for that. Like I said, there's a lot in there about life experience and so forth, and those topics that, people I feel like people don't talk about enough, but we all experience. So there is a lot of that, because that's something that's been pretty important to me in the last few years. So yeah, so hopefully it's something that people enjoy, and I'll be certainly writing right up until the point we press go on it, because you just never know where the next song's but we are currently 10 tracks recorded through that album, which is really exciting. So,
wow,
awesome!
And expected release date of
probably sometime early next year. So is what we're
okay.
at the moment. So yeah, so there'll be a few more singles before then. But yeah, I'm just excited to get it out there and hear what people think, and hopefully it resonates with them.
So everyone listening and watching, you need to follow Sammi Palinkas to keep up with what's obviously going to be a very busy couple of months for you. So excellent. So if you've enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe wherever you've listened to it. Leave a review. We always appreciate that. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. If Sammy's no good on TikTok, we are woeful. But we are there. We've got a website, unfilteredundiscovered.com. We've added Sammy's music to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered playlist. Braggy, I've made a call last week. I said, until we get that 24-hour playlist, I'm going to keep adding them to that playlist. But I have created another playlist called Unfiltered, Fresh, Fiery Female Country. And so Sammy's songs are also in that.
Okay.
So, and then I'll create one for Unfiltered Aussie Independent. So that sort of covers the two.
Good idea.
Good job. I like it. Well, it's people like you that we actually get heard. So stuff like that's amazing. I love hearing about that. Thank you.
No worries. And lyrics from the playlist this week, Braggy, you'll find this as no surprise. Once again, it's a Ron Pino lyric out of that great song he wrote, DC, and I'll share a little bit about the song first, because it's an interesting song. It's one of Died Pretty's most well-known songs, and it should have been an Australian classic. And for those people that love Died Pretty, it is a classic. But he was talking to Richard Kingsmill on Triple J in 1996, and he explained the inspiration behind DC. And the lyric is about the passing of someone and coming to terms with it. So, and then he went on to say, lyrically, I wrote it about a dear friend that passed away while we were on tour in Europe. His name was David Cox, hence the DC title of the song.
Oh, there you go.
He was this wonderful person who came into my life, influenced me, and left it again before his time. And the lyrics that I'm going to share is the ones that start the song, and it's DC, your smile has left its mark upon my world, and even your barbs were like cut diamonds that you hurled. Our disgust and drunkenness came much to their surprise as we roared and danced and sang with amber clouded eyes. And it just starts the song off so well, and you just get this vivid picture of just mates having a beer. And
well, that's exactly what I got. What a way to remember someone.
Yeah, but it finishes with DC, you gave them happiness and hobnob days, and they will cherish them forever. And when they get the blues and greys, but now you're gone, it's such a sad thing as we dissolve into dark. Behind these questions are these answers, and this song's to say goodbye. So amazing lyrics. So Ron Pino, farewell, rest in peace, my friend. And to everyone else, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Thanks again, Sammy, for joining us tonight. Braggy's been a little bit intermittent.
Apologise.
You'll get your job back next week. So to everyone else, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.